Oh, okay. I guess we're live. Hey guys, this is your homeboy Rob Coleman coming at you live with another episode of Are You Serious? My online debate show where I bring together comedians and people in different walks of life so we can discuss issues that I think are kind of interesting and pretty important. Today we're going to discuss modern manhood because this is something that personally I feel like we need to discuss. I feel like manhood has changed from my generation to current generations. I'm actually a Gen Xer, born in '69, and across these different generations, manhood is defined like very differently. And I believe it's affecting the way we communicate, the way we kind of have goals set for society. I also feel like it's affecting the way women perceive men. You know what I mean? It's affecting the way we date, the way we have relationships. And it's just affecting a lot of different things. And I feel like it's important to talk about. So what I did was I put up the bat signal and asked a bunch of guys out there in the internet world to tap in with me and let me know if they wanted to participate in the discussion. And I have three participants today, and I want to start introducing them and let them introduce themselves here individually. First person I want to bring up is Alex Keller. So, Alex, tell the crowd a little bit about yourself and why you're participating in today's show.
I'm a stand-up comedian from the Canton, Akron area, and the reason I'm participating in this show is because I just have a personal experience, have had some personal experiences recently where I feel like I've been in a sense manly in a good way, like I've been treating people right, like I'm very respectful towards women, and so I kind of just want to see if like anyone has a different perspective on that.
Hmm.
Because a lot of guys think they're in the 2000s listening to 50 Cent being a pimp and everything. There's no Oscars nowadays because well, there could be because it really is hard out here for a pimp, I guess. But yeah, and just small shout out. I'm doing a football Hall of Fame show with the Black Hall of Fame. I believe
Hmm.
Rob's going to be in it too, and I'm also doing a special open mic. Details to come on that a little bit soon. It's happening next month or
Okay.
June. So,
Yeah, yeah. As a stand-up comedian, I know Modern Manhood probably gives you a lot of material.
oh yeah, yep.
All right. Thank you for participating with the show today, Alex. Let me introduce Brandon. Why don't you let the people know a little bit about yourselves and why you decided to participate today?
Hey, thanks for having me, Rob. But
Sure.
I am a stand-up comedian, and I have three daughters that are dating, and I'm not impressed with who they're dating. So that's kind of why I'm on here. Talk about that.
Yeah, try to figure it out. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna have everybody go over their ages and everything. But how old are your daughters?
My daughters are 16, 17, and 18.
Oh wow! So you got them all out in year 3 years straight, huh?
Oh, well, two of them were born in 1 year, 5 months apart.
Oh
2007 was
wow!
good. Yeah, 2007 was a good year. But
What is that? That's called something, right? Irish twins or something?
yeah, if it's from the same mom in the same year, it's Irish twins. But when it's two different moms, it's just what Alex called a pimp. No.
All right. Well, hey, let's see if we can discuss this modern manhood to see if you can understand where men are coming from today to get your daughters a good mate. Thank you for participating today, bro.
Not a problem.
All right, and then last but not least, we have Leo Roca on the line. What's going on, Leo? How you doing, bro?
I'm doing all right, Rob. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Why don't you tell the crowd a little bit about yourself and why you're participating today?
Yeah, just kind of just to see general what everybody else thinks. Like I know how my brain works. I know how, people I'm close with brain somewhat works, but obviously not everybody's brain works the same.
Yeah,
So especially over time, see, how everything's kind of like evolved with the mentality of everything.
yeah,
So
yeah,
just kind of going to be interesting to see how things have changed over time as well.
absolutely. And you're primarily one of the reasons why I'm even having this show today, because the idea from this show came from a discussion we had at my trivia
Hmm.
night there at
Yeah.
Crowley's Dive Bar. I'm at Crowley's Dive Bar every Monday night, guys. So come by for some trivia if you want to have some fun. Um, but we talked for about an hour, right?
Yeah, I was going to say it was about an hour, maybe a little bit more, something
Yeah,
along those lines.
Yeah.
You, myself, and Andrew, we just had a conversation, just kind of where our mentalities are these days. Well, his and I, which might not be the biggest sample size, but especially because it's like two peas from same pod when it
Yeah,
comes to mentality. So
exactly. All right. So thank you for coming on the show today. I want to thank you for participating again. Let me bring everybody in just so we can see who's all on the show. So this is our cohort today. This is who's going to be discussing. And, one of the reasons, like I said, I wanted to have this show is because Leo and Drew had some really strong opinions just about I think we were talking mostly about like dating and relationships and stuff like that, right?
yeah, we were just kind of like at least his and I's mentality behind modern dating, and just kind of like our own personal mentality around everything really going on around right now.
Absolutely. So I got a list of questions here, and since that was something that we talked about, let me see if I could. Oh, you know what? I need to go to my slides. Give me 1 second here. So this is this is the first of my slide deck here. Where we're going to talk about manhood, and thought this was a. Oh, did I lose? Oh, somebody else popped in. Big Rich Green. Hey, hold on. Let me introduce you to the crowd, everybody. Big Rich is one of my comedy buddies, my comedy brother. We write together, we perform together, and he decided to pop in to participate on the show today. Rich, why don't you tell the crowd a little bit about yourself and why you popped on?
Oh, well, I popped on obviously to support my brother in comedy, Rob. And it's always interesting doing these shows, man. So I love uh, the, the the dearth of subject matter that you cover in your shows, man. And I'm a fan, so I'm intrigued. I popped in because I'm a fan. And I could.
Absolutely. Me and Rich have some very deep conversations. We're from the same generation, so we have some similar opinions, but we also have some different opinions. So it's gonna be interesting to see where he falls with things today. So this is my slide deck, and like I said with Leo, while we were discussing relationships, this is actually my first question. So dating and courtship. In the era of apps and situationships, have young men lost the ability or the desire to lead in romantic pursuits? Who should be setting the rules of modern dating? And I think I lost Leo again. Hold on, let me add him back to the stage. So, Leo, I don't know if you heard that question, but you can see it there on the screen. Young men lost the ability or desire to lead in romantic pursuits, and who should be setting the rules for modern dating? And like I said, the discussion we had was one of the reasons why we're on here. Why don't you let people know your opinion about this particular question? Leo, you hear me okay? I think Leo may be having some sound issues.
Can you
Well,
guys hear
let's
me?
start. Yeah, I can hear you now. Can you see the question on your screen there, Leo?
Small.
Okay. Well, let's start with Brandon since you kind of first on the list here. Brandon, what do you think about this question? Have young men lost the ability or desire to lead in a romantic relationship? And who should be setting the rules of modern dating?
Honestly, I just don't think they have to do as much to get the attention of a girl. All they got to do is send a message now. And if that one doesn't answer, they jump to the next girl, send them a message. So guys are almost studying what's happening,
Yeah.
but girls need to stop going for that.
Yeah, that you know what, you bring up a good point about the apps and them being able to choose because back in the day, and Rich, you can attest to this. I felt like love at first sight was a thing, right? There was something about walking into a room and seeing a girl that you liked and just melting, right? Just being like, oh, I want to talk to her, I want to be next to her, I want to be around her. You know what I mean? How can I get her attention? And I feel like that's something with modern men that they don't have anymore. Like, they don't even, I feel like, know how to approach a woman like just one on one, like in a casual atmosphere. What do you think about that, Alex? Do you feel like love at first sight is kind of gone kind of passe?
I I'd say like 80-20. I feel like nowadays there's a little more time for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's a little bit of a millennial thing too, but like I think part of it is like people gotta wait almost like an extra decade sometimes to find that Hello?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, it just changed my screen. But yeah, I think a little bit of that too is sometimes you have to wait almost to find it because it feels like nowadays, and maybe this is just because people are a little more healthy with relationships in certain ways, but it feels like a lot of people end up in relationships that are regrettable. They end up in relationships that are like bad, abusive, or they're dating someone that's just not serious about things. And then they end up dating someone down the road, and it's like, I spent 5 years dating someone else. Now I found my love at first sight.
Yeah. Now, I don't know, Leo, can you hear me yet?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. I think this is one of the questions that I had asked you, you and Drew, about like love at first sight.
Mhm.
Did y'all believe in that in your generation? Do you remember kind of what you talked about when I asked you guys that night? Do you guys still believe in love at first sight?
So I don't remember. I don't really remember exactly what my response was then. Honestly, these days, I'm not gonna say it's completely lost, especially just because over time things have evolved where there's some guys, like for example myself. I'm I'm not going to like back then, like girls sometimes used to like play hard to get because the options were a little bit more limited. Nowadays, girl wants to play hard to get, and guy's gonna move on to the next girl because if she's not interested, then she's not interested. And
Dude,
then nowadays,
that's a great point. That's a great point. Go ahead.
also, like besides that, like if she plays hard to get, nowadays it's hard to know whether she's playing hard to get or she's not interested. Because if she's playing hard to get, you keep pursuing, all right, cool. But if she's not interested and you keep trying to get her to be interested in you, then you just come off as a creep. And with today's world full of technology, you're going to get exposed in no time, or everybody's just going to be starting to look at you in a different light as well.
Dude, that is a great point. I never thought about that. Dude, the way Urkel pursued Laura on on Family Matters, dude, he would be a creep right now, wouldn't he? Like,
Yeah, it's
like, like Lara, she'll be done call the police on his ass and put him on the internet as like this creep won't leave me alone.
that's what it's like. Nowadays, it's like, and like back then, it's like she thought you were a creep. That's about it. The only people that knew were her friends. Nowadays, everybody will know, and it's like, which one is it?
Dude,
Because I've seen posts.
That is a
I've seen posts from women where they're saying, "Oh, well, guys don't want to play hard to get no more." No, because why would we put ourselves at risk like that? The world is forever. The internet's forever.
Right, exactly. Now, Rich, you're like me. You have a son. How old is your son again?
24.
What did you have discussions with your son about how do you get a female? How do you approach a female? How to pick up girls. Have you ever had that discussion with him?
So I guess I don't know if you know the ages of your children or your nephews or your nieces for the other guys, but I would have to piggyback off of what old boy just said that you can't pursue too hard in this generation, just from my purview, and they're not going to pursue too hard. But the world is different. But did I have conversations with my son? Yeah, but I'm pretty sure some of the stuff I said may have been antiquated as to how you communicate with women now. Like me, if you knew, Rob, you hang out with me. I avoid young people like the plague. I don't like young women hanging around me because, I'm very direct. I don't mince words, and I could come off as quite aggressive. So any game that I will give my son is just about that. Be a man all the time. My whole thing is telling him just to be a responsible male. Nowadays, you can't even open the door for a lot of these people because now you're offending them. Like I offended you, can I open the door? Or you could say, "Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me. I have pronouns." Like, okay, bitch, I just met you. How am I supposed to use pronouns? Like, come on, cut me some slack. I wouldn't survive in this day and age, but this is coming from a 50-year-old. So whatever I'm saying is probably antiquated to how they think. I wouldn't know how to approach a modern woman, and I wouldn't know how a modern man thinks now.
Now let me ask, Alex. How old are you again? Alex,
27.
So, do you have a girlfriend right now?
Technically, I'm on a break. Just
Okay, all
keep
right.
it the
No,
easiest
that's
because
fine.
Yeah, just some stuff happened with her family and all that, so we're just taking a break.
So the last time you got with a girl, how did you meet her? Like, did you approach her at a bar? Did you approach her online? Is she
No,
somebody
so
you grew up
it's
with?
funny and it's related to this a little bit. So
Uh-huh.
I had still been using Facebook dating and we matched, and the thing that popped out to her is that I do stand-up comedy. And then we met in person finally after she got back from family vacations and stuff, and she just decided that we should possibly pursue the idea of dating, like, for real, because she vibed with how nice of a person I am and how nice of a person she is. I vibe with that back. And
Yeah.
then after months, and then there was something that happened with her family right after we started going on dates. So then we basically didn't talk for a couple of months while she was going through some personal stuff, like, which is understandable. We didn't know each other beyond the app, but like, I decided to continue the idea of trying to date once we got back in touch and stuff. And so we met through apps and we found each other to be quite different because usually nice people don't meet each other on apps. They meet each other in real life. We were both used to, for the most part, matching with people who just wanted to hook up on Tinder, those kind of people. And she said
Yeah.
I'm the first guy she's dated in almost a decade that doesn't live with her parents. But she's in her 20s, so I'll give the other guys a benefit of the doubt a little bit. But
Yeah. Dude, I do this joke in my comedy where I asked about empty nesters and how many people in the audience are empty nesters, meaning that their grown kids have moved out. It's so crazy to hear the energy of the people who kids have moved out and the depression of the people who kids still live with them.
I
You
got
can
stuck moving back with
see
my
it.
parents, so I feel they're paying on both ends of the
Yeah,
stick.
you can see the energy in the people who kids still live with them because they're like, and I struggle with that. My son still lives with me, and he can't. It's hard for them to find jobs and to find what they want to even do in life because the education system really haven't given these kids like any drive or direction or anything like that in a lot of cases. So I know there's a big failure to launch epidemic going on right now with kids. So if you're out there trying to date a woman and she's like, "Oh yeah, I like you. You like me? Yeah, I like you too. When you want, can you come over? Yeah, let me check and make sure my mom has the basement cleaned up." You know what I mean? Or yeah, let me make sure my parents are not there so we can use the living room and go watch the big TV. That's crazy. It's crazy nowadays. I moved out when I was 17 years old. Now, Brendan, you're kind of close to my generation. How old were you when you moved out of your house?
Oh, 19. Went to the military.
Okay. And after the military, did you immediately go back and live with your parents, or did you kind of find something to do after you got back and did your
I
own
came
thing?
back. I lived with my grandparents for 3 months and then moved out.
Yeah, similar story. I went to the military in '89. When I got back in 1991, I stayed with my dad for a little while. We got into it, and I moved out like 6, 7 months later. Never lived back with him again.
I couldn't go back.
Right? You said I couldn't go back. Right,
Right.
right. So I think with this particular question, we're leaning towards women actually setting the rules now in modern dating. If you pursue too hard, you're a creep. If you don't pursue it all, you're gay or something is wrong with you. You know what I mean? If you do try to pursue, you're competing against 50 other dudes on the internet. You know what I mean? So I think that's a big problem in dating and courtships right now because you're not meeting women organically. You're meeting women like at Chipotle, like, hey, I want that. I want extra meat. I want, guacamole. I don't want peppers, but I do want, salsa. You know what I mean? It's like, Chipotle picking up a man right now. What do you guys think? Just a quick round robin.
Hey Rob, if I could dovetail off of something you just said,
Yeah.
uh, most of my crowd, most people I talk to are within my age group. So once again, I'm not talking about the young people, but I do realize something that the women that I have that are friends, they tell me it's actually hard to date after about 40, 45 years old
Hmm.
because the men don't pursue like we used to pursue. They're still used to men that are aggressive, that let you know, hey, I like you, that understand the game of hard to get or I have to pursue you if I want your attention. So now they'll go to a bar or a place like that. Men don't offer drinks anymore. They don't have
Yeah.
good conversations. They don't get approached. They don't get their phone numbers asked for. They don't get stopped. But what they don't realize, a lot of the men that are our age are dating the younger women now, and they're learning that what we used to do is creepy, and
Yeah.
sometimes they'd rather just pursue a younger woman because if I could get, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. But
Dude.
based on the women that I know, we're not approaching them like we used to approach back in the day.
Dude, you got to be careful when you approach a woman. You'll get your ass dogged. I don't know if you guys know who Billy D. Williams is from you guys, younger on the
Oh yeah,
live.
Star Wars.
Lando.
But one of the you remember from Star Wars. But one of the most romantic movies he made was Lady Sings the Blues, and he walks up to Diana Ross in this movie and holds his hand out, and she's so mesmerized by how handsome he is, she's just kind of stunned, and he literally has to say, "You want my hand to fall off?" You know what I mean? And he got that low, kind of sexy voice or whatever. And women used to melt over that. Now, if you approach a woman and hold your hand out and say, "You want my hand to fall off?" These women will be like, "Hell yeah, I want you to fall. I want your arm to fall. I want your face to fall off." Because they don't want to be approached. You know what I mean? Or
I
they
don't know, Rob. I think that's a generalization. I think some women don't want to. Some women still do. It's just according to how they grew up.
Right. So this is my tag on that. Women have a list that they're looking for, right? A certain height, a certain economic background, a certain smell or color or whatever. Women have a list. And if you don't meet something on that list and you go to approach a woman, sometimes she's like, can I do better? You could see them think that. Like you can almost feel them think that. Like Leo, when was the last time you approached a girl? Do you and what was the result, do you think?
Shit, I just typically talk to the girls I work with, to be honest with you. I don't even be approaching nobody because, again, going back to, you don't know what their mentality is, so you don't know how you're going to be labeled.
Yeah.
I've seen both situations where two guys will approach the same woman, but she finds one attractive, finds the other one not so much, pretty much say verbatim the exact same things. Certainly one of them was a creep, but it was romantic when the other one said it.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you know which one you're going to fall into? And with technology, you don't really know. Like, they can be even more picky because they're like, okay, so I don't like the guys in my area. Let me expand the search radius.
I'm gonna keep it all the way 100 with you guys. I was wingman like a lot when I went out. Like my friends that I went out with were always like taller than me, more handsome or whatever. And I was always the guy that was like, "Hey Rob, talk to her ugly friend or her fat friend or whatever." You know what I mean? I was like that dude. And and I didn't mind it. Like if I had to talk to another girl, I didn't mind it. Yeah, a lot of times they were good girls. They were funny or nice to talk to or whatever. But I feel like ladies are like the exact opposite. Like, girls, stop them from talking to me if any of them are ugly or if any, right? Like they have a wing woman with them that literally is there to stop the ugly dudes from coming up to them or whatever. Or you intercept the ugly dude and I'll take the handsome one or something like that. So yeah, modern dating has changed, guys. And I feel like ladies, if any ladies are watching this, just be careful about how you treat guys that approach you. I know some guys could be a little assholey or whatever, but a lot of times it's because they don't know what to say sometimes. So they're throwing out something that they feel like might be funny or whatever. Just don't get into crushing guys because I feel like ladies like to kind of crush dudes. There's so many songs out, you scrub and all of this bullshit. I feel like ladies like to kind of be like, "Oh, this the scrub from the song. Let me treat them like that." No, just ladies, if you're not interested in the guy, just say you're not interested. You ain't got a dog.
Brokies now, Rob. They brokies.
They brokies. Yeah, don't dog the broke niggas. They need love too.
Listen, I always make the joke that as soon as I saw a song, I'm like, "That's crazy." I met her once, and suddenly she made that song. I'm a little hurt.
No, right? All right, let's move on to another question. I don't want to do this one. I want to do. Let's talk about this one for a second. The definition of strength in modern manhood. If physical labor and combat are no longer the primary ways men contribute to society, what does strength look like in 2026? So with modern day men, what do you guys feel like strength looks like? What does a strong man looks like in modern day society?
Followers they have?
What's that?
how many followers they have.
So followers, dude, you're not wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like a Drewski or IO Speed or somebody like that, Mr. Beast or something like that. Is
I
that
don't.
what men do now? How many followers you have?
Well, so it's also like one thing I've noticed that also kind of depends on the woman as well, because like I work at the bar on the weekends. I've seen all sorts of people. Yesterday we had a guy that was there on a date, and dude was in tears, like actual tears. But his date wasn't making fun of him. Like she was like, finding it sweet because it's someone that's in touch with his emotions. He understands. But some women also want someone that's more, I guess could say traditional, that shows no emotion. Someone that's not connected as well with his emotions, because that's another fine line to balance, where you should be in line with your emotions so you can know how you truly feel, but also show the strong face, because then if you show too much emotion, you're seen as weak still.
Yeah, see, I'm a big fan of stoicism, right? Where you have emotional intelligence, right? You know when to get mad, you know when to be sad, and you are a leader in that, right? Like if you panic, everybody around you are panic. If as a man, you know what I'm saying? Like if something needs to be done at the house, a bill needs to be paid, or something needs to be addressed. If I as a man panic, like, oh no, what are we gonna do? I feel like it takes the whole household off of that. So I feel like my strength, me personally, not only physically, but is in my mentality. How do you guys feel about that? Like Alex, how do you feel about what defines a man that's strong nowadays versus back in the day when you had to have big muscles or scars or something like that to define your manhood?
I mean, I think it's a little better that men are willing to tap into their emotions and stuff, and that like there's women are able to see more variety. Because I think part of the reason muscles were a factor is just because men were very like brutish back then. At least like there's this stereotype of the 1950s where men get the belt out and beat everyone in their household, and I think
You damn
some
right.
women are wanting more like maybe leaning into the emotions, because the men that seem to have emotions nowadays also seem to be the more mature, put together men. Like they seem to be the ones at least that are like, I guess, wanting to move forward in their life, wanting to try to succeed in their own like personal lives, like just trying to make themselves better. And a lot of the men that lean more into like the, I don't know, like the brutish kind of stuff, they're more of just the immature. They don't know where they want to go. They just
Mhm.
kind of want to be like dominating in any situation, and they want to be very controlling, manipulative, and they kind of want to treat women like an object a lot of times. Not to say that all people are like that. Like there's like about half the people that are like buff and manly aren't like that, but a good percentage, a good chunk of men that lean into the buff and strength end up being, as they call nowadays, beta males.
Would you consider yourself a beta or an alpha, or do you even ascribe to those
I
labels?
don't really ascribe to those, but I mean, I might lean towards alpha just because I'm not eating the creatine and then bragging about having sex with women every 5 seconds, and then I can't even tell you their name tomorrow.
How about you, Brandon? Do you subscribe to being an alpha, a beta, or what do you feel like shows strength? And do you consider
Well,
yourself a strong man?
depends on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
You won't catch me crying in public, but I'll cry in front of my daughters because they need to see that I have
Why?
emotions.
People just keep saying that nowadays. Why does a woman need to see a man cry? Like, why is that? Please explain
Uh,
that to me.
for my daughters, I just don't want them thinking that I have no emotion at all. Like when my mom passed, I
Mm-hmm.
cried. I cried in front of them for about 15 seconds,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll probably tell you that's the only time they've ever seen me cry.
Yeah.
But I want to show them there's times to have emotion, there's times not to have emotion.
Mm-hmm.
When I found out the ex-wife was cheating, didn't cry at all. Just said, "Okay, cool. See you later." You
Yeah.
know, and
Now, so that's a really good example because so Rich, you recently had your mom and dad, pass away like within the last couple of years, and you have two daughters. What were your emotions like in front of your daughters, like after you lost your parents?
It's funny you say that. She heard what y'all said. She just said a man should cry in front of his daughters. That was just something for me. I was controlled because I understand that if they see me hurting, they'll hurt. I think it was one time that they saw me. It was a it's actually kind of crazy. After my mother died, um, my neighbor, she came over and she brought this tray of food. She brought a tray of chicken from Giant Eagle,
Hmm.
and her kindness just made me burst into tears. The first time I had cried uh, since my mother had died. It was a little bit before her funeral,
Yeah.
and I shed some tears, and I saw my daughter get emotional, and just immediately I start just stopping. But
Hmm.
she just threatened me and said if I don't cry at her wedding, she's gonna have a problem. So
Yeah.
um, I think what you said, Rob. Just holding it back. And Alex, I think you said something about creatine and bragging about women. I don't think that makes an alpha male. I think that those are those guys who are projecting, and they're putting that on. That's what they do for other guys. They think that's what guys need to hear in order for them to look
Oh
tough.
yeah, good point.
Alpha male is far from that. That's what we call an asshole. That's a jerk. That's somebody who is very weak inside. You kind of see it a lot now in the political landscape. You got a lot of people that act tough and talk tough, but they really aren't tough, and
Mm.
you get that type of projection. I think we're talking about alpha. We just mean a man that takes charge, not necessarily one that puts women down or calls them skanks or has this a revolving door, a womanizer per se. But that's just my opinion. But I
Yeah.
think that a man should be a man. What is that? The best definition I ever heard of man being a man was from a pimp. There's a pimp named Gorgeous Dre, and y'all can write this down. I'm for real. Gorgeous Dre, man. Gorgeous Dre said, "Being a man is operating in your manhood, even when your feelings is hurt.
Mm.
So if you're hurt, don't lash out. You still got to pay bills. You still got to get up to work. You still got to make those decisions. You still got to take care of your family. If you walking around, you got an attitude, and she got an attitude, you're not being a man. It shouldn't take her being a woman for you to be a man."
I I hope he had retired from being a pimp before he said that.
Uh, allegedly, he
Allegedly a pimp in the first place.
he's a life coach now.
Okay, there you go. A different kind of pimp. But Rich, I want to just share a moment because I think this happened at one of our silk shows. I don't remember if it was my first one there or a subsequent one, but I remember after the show we both was. Oh no, you were crying. I think we all were crying because of the success of the show, right? I don't know. Do you remember that night?
Vaguely, I could imagine having tears of joy.
Yeah, it was something that happened, and I remember
I think it
like
was.
you started crying and I started crying. Like I think everybody started crying because the show was so good and we weren't expecting it to be that good or something. And but it was such a success.
I think it might have been a night you headlined, and it was like
Yeah.
you went up there. Rob got a standing ovation. It was a great show, and so at that point when I met you, I always thought you were dope on stage, and you just
Hmm.
never had that opportunity. So when I had the
Hmm.
opportunity to run the show, I said, "You're headlining,"
Hmm.
and you went up there and ripped. It was just an emotional time for everybody. You had your
Yeah.
family there, the whole nine, and
Yeah.
I think it was more. I was just proud of you.
Yeah, and I think I was emotional because you really believed in me. Like you're one of the first guys that believed in me enough to say you headlining. And it wasn't like well, we don't have anybody else. Let's get Rob. You was like, no, you good enough to headline, so you're gonna headline this show. So just want to say I appreciate you there for that, and I hate you for making me cry in public. That was.
Now you're World Series champion. Look at me.
So I want to talk about this one real quick. Let me see if I can find it. So this one, that last one kind of leads into this one. Role models and the internet. So from alpha influencers to soft boy aesthetics, digital subcultures are filling the void left by fathers and mentors. Are these online personalities providing a necessary roadmap or a distorted reality? So let me start by asking. I think the youngest person. I think you might be the youngest person here, Leo. What is your idea of a role model, and do you actually have any role models right now that you kind of lean on? Um, you know what I mean for just a manhood example.
So like for me, it's kind of just there's a few men in my family that I honestly look up to,
Yeah.
just because like it's what I've always seen. Like my family has always been the type to put family first.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like seeing that firsthand experience of, like, for example, one example that like pops into my head as to fitting into this conversation that we're having is one of my uncles. He's, for the most part, well, not even for the most part, but like if you don't really know him, he just kind of like always looks angry, always looks stoic. But he does have emotion. He is willing to show it, like, you know, around us. Like he'll be happy, he'll be sad. Like he's not scared to show his emotions, but unless you like know him, you won't see them. My dad as well. And it's like they're two people that I look up to because again, they've always been the type to put family first.
Mm.
And it's kind of like where what I grew up with. They're the ones that I look up to because, you know, if I ever have a family, that's how I'm gonna be. Where it's gonna be my family comes first, everything else comes second.
Nice.
And it doesn't really matter what you're getting yourself into. You always put family above all.
So there's no social or modern role model like on TV or in society that you ascribe to. You know what I mean? There's no figure, you know,
I'm gonna be
celebrity.
honest with you. Personally, no. Just because, like, when you see them on their personality that they show, like they'll seem like a great guy, seem like someone that you should look up to.
Yeah.
And then down the road, something pops up where it's like, hey, turns out they were just a garbage human being this whole time. They were just hiding that persona.
Wow.
They were just hiding behind a persona where it's like, there's one guy that I can think of, but I'm obviously not going to, you know, call out any names, especially because, you know, I'm just a no-name person, where, you know, I was watching his videos online and I was like, hey, this guy seems like a great guy, like, you know, being educational, being, you know, telling people, hey, basically do better, be a better person.
Yeah, exactly.
And then in the last few months came out that he might just be a garbage human being.
Yeah.
And I still remember when I heard about it, I was like, well, there goes that.
Dude, I think the amount of access we have to people now makes it really hard for somebody to be a social role model or a cultural role model. Because like when I was growing up, Martin Luther King was like pristine, right? Like nobody could touch. Like Martin Luther King was like who all the little boys wanted to be like, you know, your parents made you kind of, you know, Martin Luther King, you know, that's a man right there because he stands up for what's right and whatever. And then they make a Martin Luther King movie, and this wasn't a big part of it, but turns out he may have been sleeping around on Claretta. They didn't make it a big part of the movie. They didn't make, you know, it didn't derail his message or what he did or anything like that. But there's a part in the movie where some woman calls Coretta with a tape, and he's like, "That wasn't me, Claretta." And every time I see it, I have to laugh because she's like, "I know what you sound like, Martin. I know that's you." You know what I mean? But you know, you got a mission and you on a thing right now, so I ain't gonna say shit. But I know that was you. You know, so I feel like if we had the internet back then, that could have potentially derailed Martin Luther King, right? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's so much harder for a man to be a role model now because we know everything about you. You know, you can't come out and say, "Well, I want you to not beat women and to treat women like queens," and then we find out on through social media searches that you used to beat women and treat them like shit. You know what I mean? So I just think it's harder for a man to be a role model now. What do you think, Rich?
Well, I don't think it was ever a good idea to beat women.
No, about like who? Let's give an example. What was a role model for you growing up?
Growing up, I mean, we grew up. They lied to us a lot. So a lot of the people, like I love Bob Barker, and then I found out he was some kind of racist animal. You know, it's sad. You know, you take it away. I remember you were hurt to find out about all the racist stuff about Hulk Hogan. You know, and you didn't really want to let that
Yeah.
image, and I get that, but I mean, we all human. We all fall short of what we say we're about. However, let's get back to Martin Luther King. The FBI tapped his phone. They had a whole division that followed him. They sent some of those hoes to him for him to have sex with, and he did. They tried the same thing with Malcolm X. He just didn't take the bait. Malcolm X wasn't on that. He was really about that. But I don't think that takes away from Martin Luther King's message.
No, not at all.
He was putting his life on the line. He deserved a little extra ass on the side. I'm glad that he got some other leg. You know what I'm saying? He died at 39, man. We think this guy's was in his 50s. He was very, very young. So
He really was, yeah.
my philosophy. If you're a married man over 20 plus years, man, you'd have had some exercise and stuff. Don't lie to me. You lie to yourself. But it's certain people you talk about, like online people, like somebody like an Andrew Tate. I look at him like a butthole. He a jerk. But somebody like Kevin Samuels, he was hitting things right on the head. People didn't like his message, but his message was get married, make money together, and raise a family. Stop having unrealistic expectations. But people didn't have the delivery method. So they felt attacked because they were challenged and held to be accountable. But everything he was saying, I actually agree with. I didn't agree with the delivery method, and maybe attributing someone's worth to their size. But it's crazy how a woman will say, "Oh, if you're under 6 feet, I don't want you. If you don't make 100,000, I don't want you." And then the guy can say, "Oh, if you over 150 pounds, I don't want you. If you got more than 2 kids, I don't want you." Oh, well, what's wrong with that? No, you can't have it both ways. A man can't control his height, but you can control how many times you birth something, and you could control how many times you push yourself away from the table. And it's so we need to stop with those type of standards. I think each person is their person. If we can learn to look past just skin level and deal with the beauty of a person on the inside, I think we'd be okay as a society in general.
So Alex, that brings me to you, brother. You are about a similar age than Leo. What role models do you have nowadays? Like Leo mentioned his uncle and his father. Who would you consider role models for the under 30?
Honestly, I don't have any role models. I feel a little older in that respect now that I'm kind of getting, I guess that I'm kind of doing more stuff. I just kind of feel like I'm starting to almost implement myself as a role model in others. And so it's like I don't have any per se role models, but if I guess maybe family or like even like someone I'm alongside that's teaching me things and kind of teaching me how to grow in an aspect, a man like that might be good if they're a good person doing good stuff.
No, I'm of the mindset that I'm surprised people are not saying like a LeBron James would be to me personally a good role model nowadays, right? This man has been in the public eye since he was a teenager, has had tremendous success, top of his game in sports and with his family to the point where he has his son playing next to him in the NBA. People say that's nepotism or whatever. It's really, really hard to get into the NBA. So I feel like LeBron would be a perfect modern day role model. What do you think, Alice? Is that somebody that you would hold up as a role model, or would you be like,
I don't know enough about LeBron. I could see like at least the ideal role model a lot of guys are starting to use is like Keanu Reeves, just because he's very consensual with how he engages with women in public. Like his hand is always on the hip, not the butt. And he's just always nice and kind and always like treating his fans with complete respect and his family and everyone out in public.
Right.
I mean, it's reflected too in even some of the movies he does where it's like he's almost never the bad guy in a movie. Like,
you're exactly right. I mean, that's a good thing. But when I was growing up, our role models had a little gruff to them. Like my personal role model was Mr. T. Come here, woman. I bet you left there every night wishing you had a real man. If you come up to my, but no, we did have more gruff role models, to be honest with you, back in the day. Before the show started, we talked about images of what manhood was like back in the day. You had to have a big mustache or muscles or a hairy chest or something like that, like the Burt Reynolds and the Tom Sellecks and guys like that was like our role. Jim Brown, you know what I'm saying? Like if we look at the movies I grew up to, Jim Kelly and like I said, Jim Brown and Isaac Hayes and who was Chef?
Isaac Hayes was Chef.
No. Rich, who was Shaft? Richard Roundtree.
Richard Roundtree.
Yeah. These were like role models for us growing up, right? Rough, rugged guys that all the women liked, and they made songs about them and everything. Who's that cat that's sharp as a shut your mouth. You know what I'm saying? That was like manhood to us. You know what I mean? And it was an image because we didn't necessarily know the person, but I feel like modern day young men don't have even an image of like manhood. Like what do you think, Brandon? Is there an image of what young people should aspire to be like with modern manhood?
It's all about the internet, all the social media influencers and all that. Honestly, like back when I was younger, I ain't gonna lie, my role model was whoever all the girls were going after that time because that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
So
had to be handsome like the Brad Pitts or the,
right, there's Mark Wahlberg, Ryan Reynolds, like
mhm.
whoever they're going after. That's what I wanted.
No. Like I said, we represent they're very different generations here. I'm Gen X. I think Brandon, you said you were Gen
But no, millennial, very beginning of millennial.
beginning of millennial, and
Yeah.
Alex and Leo. I think both of you guys are Gen Z,
Yep.
20
Yep.
something. And Rich, I think you probably are Gen X with me, right?
I'm Gen X with you. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So very different upbringings, right? Our role models were more rugged and would fist fight and have big muscles or whatever. Alex, you were talking about your generation is like more of the, I guess maybe more the pretty boy, the handsome guys, the guys, like the Keanu's and the Brad Pitts or whatever, Tom Cruises or whatever. And then Alex and Leo, both of you guys are like, shit, I just look at my family. I don't really have a social, person that I look to as a role model. Do you guys think that's a problem, or is that just it just kind of is what it is?
Hey, Rob, could I chime
First,
in?
Yeah, of course. What do you think, Rich?
Well, it was something that you said. You said this earlier, and I think you kind of nailed. You hit the nail on the head. You said
Mhm.
back in the day they didn't have the internet, so we were allowed to have heroes.
Mm.
So I think a lot of time is spent destroying those. Like you used a great example. You said LeBron James. And the young man, forgive me, I don't know if it was Alex or Leo who said it. No, don't look at him like that. And he said Keanu, and to me, LeBron would be a great role model. This is a guy who married his high school sweetheart, who took him and his mom out of poverty, who came from a city worse than Cleveland, Akron, who built a promise school for kids, who put 4,100 kids through school, through college, became a billionaire, is still at the top of his game at 41, never has been in anything serious outside of a DUI, never got busted for hitting his wife. Just how much more of a role model could you be in this modern age? However, I think that we tend to pick apart luminaries and people who are um, in the spotlight, and I don't think that we should look to people in the spotlight. I think like someone like a Martin Luther King, like a Malcolm X, like a JFK, even though these were flawed men,
Mhm.
the latter, cheating multiple times. Marilyn Monroe was one of his but it doesn't
Right.
take away from the man he is.
Yeah.
Because if you dig deep if you are a perfect person, I really wouldn't want you as my role model, because how do you overcome being a piece of shit at one point?
Mm. Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
so you never made a mistake in your life. You run a perfect life. That's to me, it would make you more judgmental.
Yeah.
So when I see these guys who I don't do this, I don't do that, you're not impressing me. You actually turning me off. You sit
Now,
back, you're not living life. You sit here, you being judgmental. Go out and make some mistakes, and then tell
yeah.
me how you recover from it.
I feel like the corner kind of turned socially when Allen Iverson said, "I'm not a role model." That was
Charles Barkley.
it was an isolated incident,
Charles
but
Barkley.
oh, Charles Barkley, that's right. Charles Barkley said, "I'm not a role model." Yeah, Allen Iverson did that. No, I'm practice. What is practice? Right, you're right. Charles Barkley said, "I'm not a role model." Right, and I felt like that was kind of like the beginning of the cracking of why are we looking to athletes and movie stars and social figures as role models, right? Like we should be looking inside or our own neighborhoods or our own families for role models. And I just want to, I know you got to go in a minute, Leo. You got to punch in at 5, right?
yeah, you're good. You're good.
Okay. But let me ask you real quick. Do you ascribe to be a role model? Like, do you want people to look at you as a role model? You know what I mean?
I'm
Does that affect you all as far as like how you act or the things you say and do?
personally, I don't want to be a role model. I'm gonna be honest, because I don't want someone to follow my footsteps. Like, yes, there's things that I do that people should follow with, but I'm not a perfect human. I definitely do things that people shouldn't listen to. Like I tell people all the time, like, I work in finance. When I can say, where, but like I tell people all the time, I'm like, listen, do as I say, not as I do, because if you
Okay.
listen to what I say, I'm going to lead you down the right path. I'm going to tell you here's the proper directions how to get there.
Yeah.
I don't follow even though I know what's the proper things to do, the proper ways to do things, I don't listen to myself as much as I should, I guess is a good way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, that's why I don't want to see myself as a role model, because if someone tries following my same footsteps, they're going to make the same mistakes I am. And I don't want them to.
Wow.
Like I tell them, I have two younger sisters. One of them's 21, the other one's 14. And I tell them all the time, I'm like, listen, you don't do this because I did that. Dude, I don't want you to follow my footsteps. I want you to do better than me.
Nice. Wow. Wow. That's
So I'm
that's
like,
that's a good sentiment to have. Go ahead.
so like I tell my sisters all the time, I'm like, listen, if you're gonna do this, don't do it because this will happen. But if you do it, I'm gonna be right there to tell you I told you so, but I'm still gonna help you out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we're close in age where like obviously parents do tell the same thing to their kids, like, oh, I was your age once, I did this, I did that. But when it's your parents, you're just kind of like, it is what it is, the world changes. But with my sisters, I feel like it might be a little bit different because we're not too far off in age.
Yeah.
Where I'm telling you, like, listen, like, I did this not that long ago when I was your age. Don't follow my footsteps.
Well, I tell you, I think that's probably a new sentiment from like your generation, because I actually do kind of consider myself a role model, and in that I do try to be a model for kids to follow. Like I don't want kids falling down like certain paths or going or making certain types of decisions. So I try to be
Mm-hmm.
mindful of how I present myself to them. Like when I'm substitute teaching, I'm one of the few substitutes that'll still wear a dress shirt and slacks. I dress like I want them to present themselves. I dress in a way that I want them to perceive my professionalism and want to mimic that, right? Like, so I do perceive myself in a role model in a certain sense. In schools, those kids' mouths are like horrible. They're constantly cussing. So if I hear it, I'm always like, look, watch your mouth around me. You know what I mean? Me personally, I'm an adult. I don't want to hear that. You shouldn't be cussing anyway. But I know the other teachers are not going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this. I don't want you cussing around me. You know what I mean? So I try to
Mm-hmm.
be a person that holds up morals or have standards, because I feel like a lot of kids today don't really have standards or morals or people that try to keep them on the right track as far as that goes. So I do kind of consider myself a role model. And that I want to ask, for Brendan, because I think you're the generation just behind mine. How do you feel about yourself? Do you feel like you're a role model, or do you try to be a role model, or are you more like, no, don't look at me as a role model?
I mean, I kind of try to be a role model to my daughters to be like, hey, this is how a man should treat a woman. This is how a man should be.
Mm-hmm.
So that way they go after those type of men, not the little F boys. So
Right.
that's where I see myself as a role model for my daughters,
Uh-huh.
because I don't hang out with too many people younger than me.
Okay.
Try to shape them.
Okay. How about you, Alex? Do you consider yourself a role model to people in general around you, younger people or people in your similar age bracket?
I would have said no a year ago, but I've done some mentoring stuff recently. So I guess I fall as a role model because society has decided to trust me with teaching kids things and letting them know stuff. So I guess if society
Society.
trusts me, I might as well call myself somewhat of a role model.
Yeah.
But more like with the youth and stuff, just like kind of like maybe more with like teenagers and like early young adults. Like that age
Yeah.
range has just kind of been where I've been like kind of trying to model.
Yeah. There you go. And I know, Rich, you are very much a man that um has an aura about you. You know what I mean? You have a very professional aura, a very kind of upkept. I've never seen you disheveled. I've never seen you raggedy. I've never seen you just go outside like, man, fuck it, I'm just gonna stink. You know what I mean? Like, do you consider yourself a role model, or And I'm not saying that about you other guys, like believe me, but do you consider yourself a role model at all, Rich? To
You know
Younger
what?
generation?
No, I feel like Charles Barkley in that respect. No, uh, I am in this way. I say this a lot because I'm going into the last portions of my life. Like right now, I look at life like spring, summer, fall, winter, the four
Hmm.
seasons, and I'm definitely in fall. And if it's any role modelish things that I have, like my man Alex said, yeah, I do mentor to the youth, and I make films for the youth, so I'm around them a lot, and they get a lot of energy and a lot of ideas from me. But I wouldn't consider that a role model. I tell them, and take it for a grain of salt. It's not what I said. It's not what I heard. Is what I know. I
Hmm.
mainly talk from experience now. If I try to dig from, even when I'm talking to you, here's the mistake I made. I learned from this mistake. Like my man said, he's in finance. He
Hmm.
knows what to do, but finding that discipline to do it. I could tell you how to get there, even though I might not have gotten there. So
Hmm.
sometimes you could be a role model in reverse. I'm probably a role model for what not to do in more cases than I am for what to do.
Wow. Wow.
And so I don't put myself in that category. I'm a cautionary tale.
Hmm.
I think all of us are like the tale of two cities. We all have a level of duplicity to us, and
Yeah.
if you're honest with yourself, you could tell people, "Hey, here's what I wish I would have did." Like I heard two of you guys were from the military. I think Brandon and yourself. That's one thing I wish I would. I wish I would have gave 4 years of my life to the military because it would have paid so many dividends now in the latter part of my life. Just
Hmm.
certain things like that. You just start looking at. I wish I wouldn't have lost some of the homes that I had for rent to foreclosure during that
Hmm.
crisis. It's certain things that I would do differently. So I'm more of a role model and a cautionary tale of what not to do. I do have a level of success. I do have a little bit of the accoutrement that I had from when I was younger, but
Hmm.
it's hard to hold on to because I was so successful at a young age that I would have done different things to make sure I maintained a level of income coming in or a level of wealth that I had when I was younger.
Dude, you're my role model just because you know what accoutrement mean. I don't know what that means. That's so you're my role model, like definitely. So
I'm pretty
so
sure somebody checking me and say he used that in the wrong context. No,
yeah. All right, guys. So we're at like just a couple of minutes left. I'm gonna start wrapping up, but I feel like this has been a good conversation. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Maybe we could do a part two at some point. But for the most part, I'm gonna let you guys individually, do your outs and just shout out anything you guys got coming up. And then I'll go ahead and close the show out. So let me just take everybody out real quick, and then and I'll give you guys individual opportunities to go ahead and just wrap up and say your goodbyes. So Leo, I'll start with you. Is there any feedback you want to give me about the show and let people know maybe what you got coming up or anything that you got cooking?
The only thing I got cooking is whatever food I'm deciding to make because I get hungry. But besides that, no. Just it was a great show. Definitely good conversation. We kept it going. One only thing I want to leave off with is be a better person than you want to see in the world because you know
Yeah.
we see a lot of negativity. We need to see more positivity.
Yeah, that's amazing, Leo. Dude, you're amazing on the show today, man. You definitely got a lot of insight for a younger person, and I respect you a lot. You know what I mean? So I look forward to future conversations with you at Crowley's. But let me go ahead and take you out, man. Thank you again for
Yeah,
participating on
man.
this. Let me go to Brandon. Let me wait a minute. I'm putting myself in at the stage. Wait a minute, what I do? Oh, there we go. All right, Brandon. Why don't you let people know how you like the show today, what you got coming up? You got any feedback or final thoughts?
This was a good time, man. Have me back. But
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
I
How, how,
got
how can people get in contact with you to learn more about your daughters?
Facebook, Brandon White, or Instagram at b.whitelaughs.
Yeah,
And I will be in Raleigh and Cassopolis, Michigan, coming up here in the next month.
very cool. Very cool. And hey, guys out there, I'm just kidding. You see his shirt, right? You better leave that man daughters alone. Brandon, thank you for coming on the show, man. I look forward to rocking out with you again on the comedy stage. And
Oh, sure.
you know,
Thanks for having me.
your insight was good today, man. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, and Alex, let me go ahead and bring you up, brother. Let me shrink myself, my big ass head on the screen. So, Alex, how about you today, bro? What'd you think about the show? And you have any final thoughts? Anything you want to plug?
I thought it was a pretty good show. I mean, it was nice to get a diversity of thought, and it was kind of just nice to get a good crowd of people that were kind of from different parts. We all happen to be from Ohio, but just to get us all from different parts and kind of hear the different perspectives
Yeah,
based upon people's areas, generations, it was kind of nice to have that cross of like Gen X, Gen Z, Millennial, all that.
yeah, yeah. We need to do that more, you know.
And and I have an open mic coming up in June. That's like a if anyone's in the Canton area, it's a unique type of open mic. It's multi-talented, but as of right now, I'll be the only, as far as I'm aware of, I'm the only comedian right now performing.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll get to have a little bit of variety and fun with that. Decently sized room at the 11 district or 111 district, and then I'm possibly working to create some shows and open mics in the Akron Canton area.
Nice.
Don't know how that's going to work out, and then I'm also helping put out a HBCU Weekend Hall of Fame comedy
Wow.
show, and Rob's going to be on that too, and it's going to be a fun time.
Nice, nice. Well, I look forward to it, man, and keep doing what you do, and you know, let's stay in touch, man. I would love to have you on a future show.
Awesome.
All right, let me take him out, and then Big Rich Green. Let me add you to the stage for your final thoughts, and anything you want to add about your upcomings and final things you want to say.
Hey, well, you know what, man? I found this show to be very, very engaging, very useful, and just hearing the different perspectives. It was good hearing from the young people and people within my peer group. Very intelligent young men. You had some. This was a great show, Rob. Great job once again. You know, I enjoy what you're doing. Just the diversity in the subjects that you do is it's not one note. And I love the fact that you're open to even changing your thought processes on things. You know, hopefully I try to do that as well. As far as shows, I got a show tonight. I got a fundraiser. We're doing it for the cops in Akron. Y'all come out and holler at us. You know, we at the lodge tonight. We're going to tear it up. Mike Conley, Jeff Blanchard, myself. Mike Chiselka was supposed to be there, but I think he got a show. So we're going to tear it up tonight, raise some money for some cops. Yeah, a brother raising money for cops. I ain't trying to I'm trying to fund it, please. Remember that when you pull me over. You hear me? And then I got a show that I'm producing Friday, May 1st, out in Northfield, Ohio at Ground Zero. That's zero with an X instead of a Z. Showtime is 7 o'clock. We start seating at 5 p.m. It's still happy hour. Food is delicious. It's going to be great comedy. And guess what? There's going to be a concert afterwards. So you can get comedy and you can get a concert. You can have some fun. You got some food. And I'll tell you what, it's going to be a great time. Jeff Blanchard's headlining that. Crystal Joy is on that show with my man Namit Bot, hosted by my man Izzy For Real out of Pittsburgh. I'm telling you, it's going to be a hot show. You can find me at Big Rich Comedy anywhere that you do social media. You know, but I love you. Follow me on YouTube at 8130. And thank you again for having me.
All right. All right. Well, guys, that's basically it. I don't know where my picture's not coming back up. Let me put myself back in. All right, there we go. So that's basically it, guys. We great discussion on modern manhood. I don't know where you guys stand as far as like what you feel like are the standards for modern manhood. Who are the role models who take the lead in romantic relationships? Who people look up to, who they're trying to ascribe to be like. But the discussion is ongoing because I feel like this is definitely something that we haven't addressed in modern day society. I literally had 10 questions where all of them were like really good questions, and we only got through like maybe 4. So you guys click out there and let me know if you want me to do a part 2 to this show. Maybe see if we can get through some more questions, see if maybe we can ask some more people. And let's continue to have these discussions on Are You Serious? You can follow me at Are You Funny Rob on all social media platforms. And I hope to, be a source that you can lean on, not just for some comedy, but for some educational background as well. Join me in May for our conversation on modern day motherhood, where I'm going to have like an all-female panel. And if you want to be a part of that, just reach out and let me know. Once again, this is Rob Coleman with Are You Serious? Thank you guys for, watching, and hopefully you guys continue to rock with me. Thank you guys again.